So I also want to share with you just kind of a reminder of what causes prostatic enlargement in the first place and some risk factors. So when we're talking about what causes it, the main thing that we think causes prostatic hypertrophy are hormonal changes. And that's evidenced by the fact that the incidence of prostatic enlargement increases as you age. And as that increases, guess what decreases? Testosterone decreases. So make sure you watch some of the videos that I have on how to boost testosterone naturally. Another thing that causes enlargement of the prostate are fake estrogens or endocrine disruptors. Fake estrogens are what are stuff that's available in our food, in our drinks, that are surrounding us, in the plastics that we store our food in, even the plug-ins at your mama's house. My mom uses a ton of plug-ins, and I'm like, geez, every time I go in the house, I'm pulling them out because those are endocrine disruptors. Those can interfere. As you inhale them, they can actually interfere with your hormones. So you want to remove all of these types of things from your space so that you're actually operating in an environment that's not fueling inflammation. Another thing that fuels enlargement of the prostate is just good old-fashioned inflammation. What are you doing that's causing inflammation in your body, and what can you do to decrease it? So things that fuel inflammation: sugary foods, stress, not getting enough rest, all of these things, eating foods that you're allergic to, drinking too much alcohol, all of these things can flare up inflammation. So if you eat something or you do something and your joints are a little achy the next day, you don't feel right, you feel tired, that's probably inflammation coming from whatever it was that you did. So you want to actually decrease inflammation. You can decrease inflammation by moving more. You can decrease inflammation by increasing the amount of sleep that you get each night so that it's 7.5 hours, between 7.5 and 8 hours, anywhere between that 6 and 8, and you're okay. You can decrease inflammation by eating the green leafy vegetables, using the smoothie recipes that we talk about. Those types of things can decrease inflammation. Risk factors for an enlarged prostate: aging. We talked about that because as we get a little older, testosterone levels decrease, and oxidative damage, oxidative stress takes hold, and it causes inflammation. It can fuel prostate enlargement. Another risk factor is family history. If your dad, your brothers have had an enlarged prostate, then it increases the risk that you would have one. Another one is diabetes. Diabetes increases your risk for developing prostatic hypertrophy. Another thing is heart disease. But the part of heart disease that might lead to an enlarged prostate or increase the risk are the beta blockers. You remember those blood pressure medicines that we talked about, the Olols, the Toprol, the Metoprolol. All of those beta blockers actually can increase the size of your prostate, unfortunately. And then, of course, lifestyle. Lifestyle is a risk factor for prostate enlargement. So anytime we're thinking about how can we naturally decrease the size of our prostate, decrease the symptoms associated with the prostate, because if we refer back to the question, he's kind of asking about, how can I boost my ejaculate? How can I boost my erections? Because my prostate is enlarged and I feel like these are causing some of the issues. And some other issues related to the prostate: getting up in the middle of the night off a lot to urinate, rushing to the bathroom to urinate, not being able to hold it. Those are all symptoms that are associated with prostatic enlargement. Now, once the prostate is really, really enlarged like that, most doctors will try to put you on a prostate medication. Unfortunately, one of the big ones that we'll put you on is an alpha blocker, which is associated with heart disease. Actually, there was a study that came out about 1.5 years ago that actually really talks about how those medications can actually increase your risk for heart disease. Let me see if I have the study here. If not, I will link to it below. So you got to be really careful with what you're going to do to treat your prostate. So one, we want to improve inflammation. We want to improve overall health so that the prostate inflammation can decrease so that we're not steadily increasing in size. Two, of course, you want to talk to your urologist. What is he saying? What are some recommendations that he has about decreasing the prostate size? A lot of times it is surgery or a procedure. All of those procedures potentially hold a risk. So what you want to do is focus on a urologist that has a little bit of holistic to them, like maybe he is a functional medicine practitioner, maybe he's an integrative specialist, and as a result of that, he believes in some of the herbal supplements to help shrink the prostate. Remember, Germany, Austria, a lot of European countries, they go straight to some of the herbal supplements before they go to prescription medications to help manage the prostate. That's another thing. The next thing is, what can you do in the natural space, right? We talked about the pumpkin seed oil. We've talked about saw palmetto. We've talked about rye pollen. We've talked about a lot of different supplements zinc, that can help impact prostatic health. But one of my favorite things, and you got to talk to your urologist and your primary care practitioner about it, but prostatic massage. Prostate massage has, for centuries been the way that men managed prostate issues. Prostate issues is not something that's new. What's new is how we manage it. So one, if your symptoms are related to urinating a lot, if that's your major thing, one, is this overactive bladder? Is there some bladder irritation? Because oftentimes that can be traced back to your food. Go back to the video I did on things that will irritate your bladder and worsen your prostate symptoms, like beer, coffee, caffeine, tea, spicy foods, citrus foods. All of those types of things can aggravate your bladder and make some of those symptoms worse. Now, when you're talking about your prostate is enlarged, and as a result of that, you're having issues with ejaculation, well, I always like to show the picture of why it is that this becomes an issue. When we look at the nerves that are kind of associated with the prostate, this is just like a nice schematic of what's happening, right? So you see your rectum and your anus here. You see your bladder and your prostate below it. Well, I think what's important to keep in mind about where the prostate sits and how the prostate is responsible, remember, part of the prostate's job is to be a conduit for your ejaculate, but also to help propel it. It's like part of the slingshot. If your prostate can't spasm and contract, then it can't shoot like a rubber band out. So having prostate enlargement is part of that. Now, I want you to think about massage and what you know about massage, right? Massages, we can do massages for lymph nodes, right? To kind of get the fluid moving out of your lymph. We can do massages to help with inflammation of certain muscles. It helps move chi and energy through different products, right? So that's ultimately why prostatic massage can be so helpful to different gentlemen, is that it can, depending on which direction you choose, whether you're doing an internal prostate massage or an external prostate massage, it can help impact all of this stuff that you see here, right? You see your prostate is the orange thing sitting in the middle, right? You got nerves that run through it. You got nerves that run beside it. You've got nerves that run below it, but also you have intricate ductwork. The intricate ductwork is a conduit. You have two ejaculatory ducts that are in the prostate that can become compressed when you have prostatic hypertrophy, and those ducts become blocked. That's another thing that prostatic massage can actually do, is help. If there's a stone in those ducts, they can help loosen that stone and help make the fluid move through it easier. So before I tried anything else, I would talk to my doctor about prostatic massage and see how they feel about it and if they're okay with you trying it. I would try that. I would try some of the natural things that you now know can help soothe prostatic symptoms. And I would change my diet and add more exercise in to see if those components too can help with prostate inflammation and enlargement. And then, if after all of that your symptoms are so severe that you cannot take it, now you have the opportunity to talk to a couple different urologists about your procedure. The first urologist you talk to, if you don't feel right about it, if you don't know anyone who's used them, if you don't know any of that, I would keep on pushing and go through someone else. Because listen, you only got one shot at it, and if they get in there and can't get something where they need it to go, now you are ass out, stuck, because you picked a doctor that maybe wasn't the best for you. Okay, so I'm hoping that that helps.